is really going to be all about Larry.
The pressure's on. The pressure's on.
Out of the two of us, I'm probably a little bit more of the expressive one. Unless you get him on a roll, then he definitely can go for it as well. But this, pure to our natural format, is going to be completely unscripted. Larry doesn't even know the questions that I'm going to be asking him.
I don't. I definitely don't.
So you get the raw content. I think it would be good for Larry to share from his perspective, going through IVF for the first time, and I guess really initially, how did you feel when you found out that there were some fertility things that we needed to work through, and then, reflecting on going through the IVF journey before?
Gotcha. Okay, so as far as for first initial reactions were pretty much shock. I'm not for sure if any of the viewers out there feel that way, if they're going through the process. But it's kind of shock because you think like, well, I wouldn't fall into that type of category situation. But it happened. So fortunately, there's modern medicine out here that kind of helps out with those type of things. Obviously, after we talked about it over and over again, found out that basically we just got to work through it together. So which kind of leads me to my next point, which is basically support. So throughout the whole process, like Amber was the one that did majority of the work. She's the one that had to go through the shots and all the different medications that she had to take throughout the whole process. And for me as a husband, like it was just imperative for me to be a great support system for her as she goes through the process. So just making sure that I was able to be there for her emotionally, and then also too just a standpoint of really just trying to help her out from a support standpoint. So I know you mentioned in I think one of your last videos, right, that you had to take shots, right, and then you also had to take a lot of medications. I know that had an impact on you. But for me, it was just more or less just trying to make sure I helped you out the best way I could.
And so, on that note,
Okay.
then how did I do? Because you said you had to support me.
Yes.
So you can be real.
Can be real.
How did I do?
Oh, jeez. No, seriously, she did a great job. She did a phenomenal job. She took it on like a champ. So, great job. I'm proud of you. You did a really, really good job. So, for those that are going through the journey, just know that it is a lengthy process. I'm not for sure if I said that earlier, but it is a very lengthy process. And in that process, it's imperative to A, stay motivated, and then B, if you have a support system, have that support system help you out, no matter who that person is. Hopefully it's your spouse that's able to do that for you with regards to the process. And then C is really just to stay the course. Yeah. So what was I talking about?
You're talking about the important things to do as you're going through the process.
Oh yeah, and just listen to the doctor's orders is probably like the best. The C is to listen to the doctor's orders and then carry out the plan.
And with that, so you mentioned it was a lengthy process. Probably 6 months at least. I think it took for like from start to finish of just going through like the medication phase and the testing and the monitoring phase. So I had to, along with like getting all of my hormone levels to the right places and all of those things, it was like ultrasounds and different things, just looking at my ovaries and making sure everything was okay. So I said I wasn't going to talk a lot in this segment, so I'll stop talking. But one of the questions that it leads me to for you is knowing that it was a lengthy journey and there was a lot of things that you had to do, even though your body wasn't physically going through it.
Right.
What was the most challenging part of going through either, fertility, working through fertility issues and or going through IVF itself?
Great question. The hardest thing was actually seeing you go through the process. That was my hard part. Support, I'm a firm believer in being able to support your spouse through whatever you're going through. And obviously that was my goal here. But the hardest part for me was actually seeing you go through it. Because I know you don't really like shots at all. So that's not your thing at all. The blood work, again, it's not a shot, but it's a needle. It's still something going into your body, which is not something that you like at all. So just seeing you go through the process, to me that was, it's kind of like an oxymoron because it was tough to see, but I was happy that you were going through it because you're being such a great champ about the whole thing. So, job well done.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. And I guess kind of to go along with that note too, what was your outlet? Because you're in this position where you're supporting me, and I think we talked too in a previous segment where you're like on a very regimented medication schedule and you have to give me shots and do all these different things. So like, what was your outlet during that process?
I'm not for sure. I actually don't really remember. Talking about being candid, I actually don't remember what my outlet was. That's a great question.
Oh, he didn't have an outlet apparently. So we're gonna work on that for this time. We're gonna make sure that we have outlets.
I really don't remember. Maybe playing video games, but I actually really don't remember. So that's a great question. I said raw and uncut, right?
Yeah.
And very candid. So I actually don't remember.
That's okay.
It's a great question.
All right. Okay. So we don't know, but we'll work on that for this time. Apparently, that's an area of improvement potentially for both of us. So I guess fast forwarding to this time, we've talked about how it took us some time to come to the conclusion that we were actually even going to go for the other two embryos. So how did you personally get there, and how are you feeling, I guess, at this point as we enter into this phase again?
Wow. Man, she's asking some really good questions. But that is expected because you ask a lot of great questions. Just in general.
Compliments.
Brownie points. Make those deposits into the love bank account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the love bank account. Wow. It seems like everything I say is a lot, but it was a lot because we currently already have a set of twins. So adding another set of twins, or either the possibility of it being more than twins, it's a big task to say the least. So the way I arrived at it was really, I think it really just boiled down to just a simple fact that I personally, since you're asking about me, right, and it was a joint decision, but you're asking about my opinion and my thought process on it. It was one of the things that really struck me was being in a situation to where we didn't give the last two embryos that we believe were gifts to us, right? Because they're embryos that we have, they're frozen. It's giving them an opportunity to basically come into the world. And obviously, there's risks that's involved with regards to that. So that's a risk that we're willing to take with regards to that. So that's how I came to it. How I felt about it, at first, I was not feeling it at all. Like I was like, I'm good. We got a boy and a girl. That's it. Done. But as time progressed, started to feel a better sense of it, and wanted to go forward and move forward with the process.
And with that,
of round two.
So you mentioned being nervous. I think you mentioned being nervous, or there were concerns. So what are some of the biggest concerns or risk? You said risk, I believe. I did say
so risk.
What are some of the biggest risks that came into weighing the decision?
God forbid you die. That's one risk. Another risk is that you put two embryos in and neither one of them come to fruition, or another risk is that something happens to them while they're in the womb, whether that's some type of something wrong with their body or brain function, those type of risks. And then the other, I don't really call it a risk, but another thing that could happen is, instead of you putting in two embryos, they could split into 4 or 3 or however many it may be. Take it from 2 to 4, 5, 6 or whatever it is. So those are all the, I kind of went through a whole gamut of different things, but there's a lot of risks associated with it. What are some of the risks that you thought about?
It's supposed to be.
Oh, that's right. It is my area.
It's
that's
all
right,
about
right.
you this time.
I don't remember you saying that last time in the last video. So you're asking me a lot of questions. I don't remember you covering this last time. So yeah.
So
on your video.
No, I didn't, because these were different. These are different reflections. So they're not necessarily all the same ones.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And with that too, what is something that you most look forward to?
Wow, I look forward to the day that they're here. So ultimate goal is to have a healthy birth and have 2 healthy children. What I'm looking forward to.
And so that made me think of something else. What was it like to have a pregnant wife?
What was it like to have a pregnant wife? Actually, I don't have any negative thing to it. I know I've heard horror stories I'm not even gonna say it because it's on YouTube, right? So I'm not even gonna say it. But I've heard horror stories, right? And that wasn't the case with you. So I'm not just saying it because I'm not saying it for clout or anything like that, just because we're on YouTube or anything. But I didn't have any. You really weren't. I don't really even remember you having any cravings. maybe if you did, it was like something small and minute, but it wasn't like I had to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and get you X, Y, Z or something like that. So I don't remember the cravings because you didn't have any. And then as far as the like, you didn't have any mood swings. She's not a very like mood swingy type person, anyways. So no, it was in my personal opinion, as your husband, as your spouse, it was a very easy, smooth process. The one thing that I will say though, and I felt really, really bad for you, is that your feet had swollen up like so big towards the end. It literally looked like you could just press it and your foot would just like explode. But yeah, I mean, that's not something I went through. That's something that you went through. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, so there's so many different things that I could say about being pregnant, but I'm not, because this is not my segment. The one thing that I will say is I did have one craving.
What was it?
Let's see if you can guess. So it was a craving that I think was more so generated by heartburn.
Subway?
Subway?
But you used to eat Subway a lot. We used to go to Subway all the time, so that's something I think of. Actually, I don't remember.
It was a craving that was generated by heartburn, and it was Dr. Pepper, random. You don't remember that?
Vaguely, like.
So random. Like, I'm not even a pop drinker, and for whatever reason, we're Northerners, so I don't know, but for whatever reason, I would have this heartburn like in my chest and my throat, and I craved like Dr. Pepper, and that's the only thing that, in my opinion, I don't know, from my experience, made it better. I don't know. Anyway, side note, we're not talking about my comments, but no, I think that those are good reflections in terms of going through the process before and gearing up for the next process. So what's on your mind? Is there anything else that you want to share? Anything else that you're thinking about at this point?
Just ready to start the process. It's going to be a journey. It's a lot to do again. The fortunate thing is that now we do know what to expect. So we have a better understanding of how to go through the process, a better way of, once you kind of been through something once, you know how to handle the better the second time. At least that's the hope in the plan. But so I'm encouraged because we know what to do based upon the last experience. And is really just looking forward to what's going to happen with the next round.
Well, there you have it. So that is from a male's perspective of going through this journey. On that note, though, if you guys do have questions for us or specific topics that you would want to hear in one of our episodes, I think we're open to addressing those. So please let us know. Comment below. Let us know what you're thinking about it. Please share with your friends and your family too. If you feel like this is something that other people that you know could benefit from hearing, we would love for you to share this with us or share this with them. Give us your feedback, and we'll definitely keep this going. So kind of in the beginning of the journey right now. There's a lot more to come. So continue to follow us on our social media platforms. You'll see those all listed below. And that's about it this time for Making Room for More.
I made it, guys. I made it.
You did it.
Appreciate it.
See you next time.
Take care.